In this video, I'm going to share 5 bookkeeping tips for early stage home service business startups. If you are starting a business in the home services like cleaning, power washing, window washing, landscaping, snow removal, land clearing, tree services, excavation, anything like that, these tips will be helpful for you. I interviewed Gavin from Dialed In Bookkeeping on my podcast called the OWNR OPS Podcast, and Ben shared with us some helpful tips for people who are in the early stages. So stick around for the whole video. Step number 1. Go set up QuickBooks. This is the end-all be-all for bookkeeping. Set up your QuickBooks account, connect your bank accounts and your credit cards, and then finally, Ben recommends that you go in and you clear your bank feeds weekly. Schedule 30 minutes on your calendar on a Saturday morning, get yourself a cup of coffee, and go and clear your bank feeds from that week. Okay, what does this actually mean? This means categorizing transactions. Like if you go to your local farm and ranch store and you buy a tool that you need for the job, then you should be categorizing that. If you go buy fuel to put in your power washer on your credit card on a Wednesday, on Saturday morning, you need to be categorizing that as fuel. Okay? This is going to save you so much time when you do hire a bookkeeper in the future. Number 2, start to understand your gross profit margin. Let's define gross profit margin. What is gross profit? Gross profit is revenue minus cost of goods sold, and that equals your gross profit margin. Let's define cost of goods sold. Anything that you need to perform your job, like materials, supplies, or labor, a direct expense tied to doing the actual work is considered a cost of goods sold. A good rule of thumb, once you start growing your business, is to shoot for 40 or 50%. In the early days, if you're providing the labor, your gross profit margin is going to be a lot higher because you're not technically paying yourself for the labor, but you should be tracking that. So you want to understand what materials went into the job and how much labor. If you charged $1,000 for a job and you had $250 in materials, it took you 10 hours to perform the job, and you equate your time to $25 an hour because that's what you could pay somebody else for it. Then you have $250 in labor costs, you have $250 in material costs. Therefore, your $1,000 revenue minus your $250 and $250 equals $500. That would equal a 50% gross profit margin. What did my materials cost on the job, and what did my labor cost me on the job? Get really good at tracking that, and you will be set up well. Let's move on to number 3. Keep track of the expenses and your receipts. Now, QuickBooks offers a very simple way to do this, especially as an owner-operator. If you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, selling the jobs, performing the work, like I was in the early days of my business, use the QuickBooks functionality. Once you log into your QuickBooks app, go to the Snap Receipt function right there. Click Snap Receipt, a camera pulls up. You can put the receipt in the middle of the photo, take picture, and it's going to scan the details of that receipt. It's going to store it in your QuickBooks account, which serves as storing your receipts for the IRS, because, by the way, you need to keep track of all your financial information for a 7-year period, according to the IRS. Make sure that you take a picture of your receipt, put it in QuickBooks. And secondly, QuickBooks is going to automatically scan the details of that receipt and then try to match that up with an expense on your bank feed. Meaning if you had an expense from your bank account or a credit card, it's going to do its best to match that up. And when you go and clear your bank feeds, you'll see QuickBooks attaches any receipt with the same amount for that. And you can go ahead and link the two together. Okay. Make sure to track your receipts. Get in the habit now, because as you start hiring people, you're going to have to implement that process with people. Create a process for it, document it, do it, and then implement it. Number 4, after you start doing the first 3 as an owner operator and you're generating a couple $100,000 of revenue, it's time to think about outsourcing the book. But if you don't do steps 1 through 3 while you're an owner operator, number 4 is going to be very hard, and your bookkeeper is not going to like you very much. You're going to have to pay them an hourly rate to sort of clean up all your past stuff. I recommend staying on top of it weekly, steps 1 through 3. When you do get to number 4, you want to interview many different bookkeeping firms, okay? Ben is just one of many, but Ben at Dialed In Bookkeeping is very tailored towards early stage service business owners. The reason being is because they have created a very simple app. They will do all your bookkeeping for you, and then they will provide accurate financial information for you. So at the time that you're ready to delegate, you can expect to spend somewhere between like $300 and $500 is what you should spend on bookkeeping per month. The reason why that's important is because if you can pay somebody $300 to $500 to manage this for you, take that off of your plate, you can now use that time that you were clearing your bank feeds for going and growing the business, right? Rather than spending, now at this point, it's probably an hour doing this, you can go use that hour on growing your business. You can door knock, you can cold call, you can go have lunch with a property management company. There are a million different things that you should be doing with your time as an owner rather than doing the bookkeeping. You will also need to work directly with the CPA for your taxes. Okay, Ben recommends meet with your tax professional early. And what that means is don't wait until January through March. Most CPAs, at least the good ones, are already booked. They already have their clients booked up, either doing their bookkeeping or they're taking the books that are kept by another bookkeeper and they're working with their clients to prepare taxes. Now, it's November 12th right now. I met with my CPA November 11th yesterday and we talked, okay, where's Bear Claw's current profit at right now? What do we currently owe on taxes? Okay, so I know what I need to have in my tax account, right? Are we buying any more equipment and what's our depreciation schedule like? If you meet with your tax accountant, it's much better to meet with them right now in November because yesterday's conversation was very light. It was easy. Nobody was stressed. We were able to put a sound plan together. If you come and you wait until January and February, when they are in head down tax mode, that is called busy season for tax professionals, you're not going to get them on the phone. And if you do, they're going to be stressed. They're going to be pulling their hair out because everybody's trying to get tax returns done, right? I hope these tips have been beneficial to you as an early stage service business owner. If you do like this type of content, please let us know in the comments below what service business you are running and what challenges you have. If you have a challenge and if you have a question for how to grow your service business, place it in the comments below. I will go interview an expert on the OWNR OPS podcast to get you answers. If you haven't checked out the podcast already, go on Apple, Spotify. You can even see it here on YouTube. Search OWNR OPS. That's spelled OWNR OPS. We talk about tips, tricks, and strategies for building local service-based businesses in the unsexy trades, things like landscaping, land clearing, tree services, you name it. If it's a service-based business, I've likely had that industry on the podcast. Finally, if you have somebody who would be a good guest on the podcast, somebody who's grown a service-based business to $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 million or above, we want to hear from them. Tag them in the comments below and I will reach out to them to interview them. Thanks again for watching this video. I sure hope you enjoyed the content. My name's Austin Gray. Go check out ownerops.com/newsletter. We distill all the tips, tricks, and strategies into a weekly email on Saturday morning. See you guys in the next video.